Naadu villagers live on top of the Tamil hills. A young girl named Amuda chose to commit suicide out of frustration. Amuda's actions were seen by her father named Raman. The villagers also tried to save Amuda. Everyone panicked. Luckily, Amuda was still breathing. Amuda's sister Mari carried her sister to the health center. But there was no doctor or staff. Amuda had to be taken to the hospital in the city, which was quite far away. An ambulance was called to come quickly, but waiting for the ambulance took a long time. Mari carried Amuda again with tears in her eyes. Mari continued to carry her sister. After the ambulance arrived, Amuda was immediately taken to the hospital. But once at the hospital, Amuda was declared dead. The doctor blamed the family for being late in bringing Amuda. If only it was brought on time, Amuda could definitely be saved. Amuda's father and brother were very sad about the tragedy. Mari brought Amuda's body home. Mari realized that Amuda died because there was no doctor at the village health center. The villagers blocked the road, and Amuda's body was placed in the middle of a road used by tourist buses. The villagers also spent the night there. The road was completely closed until the government was willing to send a doctor. After a day of road blocking, the collector's official came to meet the villagers, so that the village could be reopened. Mari demanded accountability. He said, "My brother's doctor was always a champion in high school, but now he is dead." Because there was no doctor at the village health center, Amuda died. Not only Amuda, but last year many mothers died because there was no doctor in the village. Mr. Collector replied, "Actually there are doctors, but they always apply for a transfer of duties, because they don't feel at home in this village. I understand your problem, but the cost of education to become a doctor is very expensive. People want to become doctors to make a lot of money, so no doctor wants to be assigned to a remote village like this." The collector said. To make the community stop the blocking action, the collector promised to bring in a new doctor. The community's task is to try to make the doctor feel at home in the village. If the doctor is at home, he will definitely not apply for a transfer letter and will serve the community well. A few days later, the doctor promised by the collector came. The whole community had gathered to prepare a festive welcome. The doctor who came turned out to be young. His name was Sobhana. Sobhana's figure looks very stylistically haughty and arrogant. The bouquet of flowers prepared by the community was rejected. Sobhana immediately breaks into the house that has been provided for the doctor. The house was considered inappropriate by Sobhana and her grandmother who accompanied her. Mari became confused even though the house was the most luxurious in the village. Sobhana's grandmother protested because the toilet did not use a sitting toilet. The grandmother also asked for a restaurant-style food menu that the locals did not know. Mari promised to install a toilet seat soon. Food Affairs, a resident who is the most delicious, is assigned to serve Sobhana. Sobhana's work as a doctor is assisted by an assistant and a nurse. The people who come for treatment are quite a lot. The assistant named Vimal is annoyed by the patient's body odor. Vimal solved the problem of body odor so that the doctor would not be disgusted. Tea must also always be provided for Dr. Sobhana. In the village, the tea made by the community is not good. The village chief's son, Yogi, was assigned to make tea for the doctor every day. Yogi worked as a coffee maker in the city. Everyone agreed that Yogi's tea was quite good. Mari also sprays perfume on people who come for treatment to make them smell good. The situation becomes tense when a teenager named Soman is brought to the health center after falling from a tree. Sobhana acts quickly to save Soman, who is unconscious. Soman's parents are very panicked to see their son unconscious. Fortunately, Soman woke up after Sobhana gave him artificial breath. Soman's life was saved thanks to Sobhana. The community is very grateful that the existence of Dr. Sobhana has actually succeeded in saving lives. The community is afraid that Sobhana will change his job like the previous doctors. Moreover, the assistant Sobhana Vimal has received a letter of transfer. The village head reminded the community to remain united. This makes the doctor comfortable in the village. Mari was informed that Dr. Sobhana likes to walk and dance. And of course, Dr. Sobhana really likes tea. After knowing the doctor's favorite, the community gathered again. Mari has an idea to organize a wedding in the village so that the doctor can dance and sing. Married couples will be remarried. All costs are borne by the village. The wedding was held with great fanfare. Sobhana was there as a special invited guest. Sobhana was able to channel his passion for dancing. Sobhana was happy and the community was calm. A week has passed, the efforts of the villagers turned out to be in vain. Sobhana called the collector to be transferred immediately. Sobhana could not live in this village with minimal facilities and frequent power outages. The conversation was heard directly by the community. The collector asked Sobhana to continue serving for another week. If Sobhana was transferred at this time, the community would surely be heartbroken. The collector's decision upset Sobhana. Sobhana had worked hard to become a doctor. Sobhana should work in a place that suited his desires. Sudden rain poured down on the Sobhana. Mari's father, Raman, gave her an umbrella. Raman talked about the plight of those who desperately need a doctor. So far no doctor wants to work here. If now you also want to leave, what should we do? Said Raman. Sobhana was stunned to hear Raman's words. Sobhana resumes her duties for the next week. Raman's health condition is also checked. The community is not desperate to make the doctor feel at home in the village. They are willing to pretend to take a morning walk like Sobhana used to do. People who work as farmers are very uncomfortable having to take turns wearing shoes. The problem of power outages also has a solution. Mari and the community arranged all that for a delicious meal. Navamani was assigned to serve Sobhana. Sobhana's attention was drawn to Navamani's growing belly. Sobhana predicted Navamani would give birth soon. Mari was asked to take Navamani to the hospital because there were suspected complications. Thanks to Sobhana's advice, Navamani gave birth to a baby safely. Sobhana really brought blessings to the community. Regarding the results of the examination of Raman's illness, it was confirmed that he had cancer. Sobhana prescribed medicine. Raman felt very happy that there was a doctor to treat him. But what if Sobhana left later? There was no doctor who would prescribe medicine. This time Sobhana promised not to leave the village before Raman was cured. Sobhana's decision made Raman very happy. Mari heard that Sobhana needed a medical manual. To help Sobhana, Mari and the community brought many medical books. All the books had been bought for Mari's deceased sister Amuda. Sobhana was curious about the community that was willing to do anything to make the doctor feel at home. Sobhana asked why the villagers didn't send their children to school to become doctors. Mari admitted that the effort had been made since the last 25 years. But no one could become a doctor. Her younger sister Amuda, who was very smart, became a hope. The community fully supported Amuda, especially Amuda graduated from high school with high scores. The problem is that Amuda failed the medical college entrance test. The failure became everyone's sorrow. Amuda could not stand it and chose to commit suicide. The last hope of our village died with her, said Mari while crying. The next day Raman's health condition worsened. Raman felt his death was near. The thing that worried the doctor would leave the village if he found out Raman had died. To make the doctor not leave the village, Raman asked that his death be kept secret. Don't you gather, don't you wail, don't let the doctor know, just bury me quietly, said Raman. At the end of his death Raman willed Mari to apologize to his uncle named Laxman. Raman had a lot of wrongs to his twin brother. Finally Raman asked Mari to leave the room. Raman did not want to be seen dying by his proud son. Mari could not see Raman's tongue sticking out facing death. Mari could only cry hearing her father's words. Not forgetting, Mari was ordered to make sure the doctor did not leave the village. Mari went out to obey his father's wishes. Not long after his father died, Mari came back in. Mari cried to see his father lifeless. The village head reminded Mari not to cry out loud. Don't let Dr. Sobhana find out Mari's father is dead. Mari struggled to hold back her tears. But Mari really couldn't stop her tears. The village head pleaded with the community not to cry. Don't cry out loud. If the doctor finds out about Raman's death, the doctor will leave the village, said the village head. It was heartbreaking. Mari buried her father without any noise. Mari was called by the doctor to take his father to the health center. How could Mari bring his dead father to the health center? But if the doctor knew Raman was dead, the doctor would be angry because Raman's death was hidden. Mari is confused about what to do. Efforts that can be made to find her father's twin brother, first named Laxman. It was not easy to find Laxman's whereabouts. It was only after many days that Mari managed to meet Laxman. Mari brought her uncle to the village. Laxman was invited to Raman's grave. The plan was that Laxman would be disguised as Raman to meet Sobhana. Laxman, who looked decrepit, shaved his hair. Laxman's face was very similar to Raman. Sobhana was fooled. Sobhana thought the man in front of him was Raman. Blood tests were again carried out to determine the progress of the disease. Then Mari took Sobhana to a tea shop specially made for Sobhana. That's when Sobhana told Mari's father's cancer. Mari was asked to take good care of her father. Sobhana's words made Mari cry. Mari tried to hide her tears. Sobhana asked Mari to calm down. Sobhana promised not to leave the village before Mari's father was cured. The next day Sobhana brought surprising news that the results of the blood test showed that Mari's father's illness could no longer be cured. Mari was quite surprised to hear it. The secret of her father's death is still neatly covered, but that means her uncle also has cancer like her father. That night Laxman told Mari that he felt he would soon die following his twin brother. Laxman could feel his death was getting closer. The next day Sobhana and the nurse came to work as usual. Sobhana was surprised that none of the residents came for treatment. They also went to Mari's house to find out what happened. At Mari's house many people gathered. Sobhana asked one of the residents named Murugan. Maybe because he was upset, Murugan was angry with Sobhana. Because of you we hid Uncle Raman's death. We brought his twin brother and introduced him as Raman. Now he also died, Murugan said. Sobhana was shocked to know that fact. Mari and the others asked Murugan not to talk anymore. But Murugan continued to babble out his disappointment. Sobhana was invited to leave if he really wanted to leave the village. Sobhana approached to see Laxman's corpse. Mari was only silent, holding back tears. Sobhana felt very guilty for what happened. After Laxman was buried, the community met Sobhana, who still felt guilty. Sobhana didn't know what to do, even though Sobhana wanted to stay in the village. It was impossible. Sobhana was just an ordinary girl who prioritized her own happiness. Soon Sobhana would also get married. Inevitably Sobhana had to go to her husband's place. Please stop fighting to keep me here, Sobhana said. Mari thought hard about keeping Dr. Sobhana. Mari planned to make Sobhana marry one of the village youth. That way Sobhana would stay in the village. Mari could not possibly make Sobhana fall in love. Mari's face was not handsome. Mari gathered some handsome village youths who had been working in the city. To get them interested, Mari held a contest for whoever could make the doctor fall in love and marry him. Mari would gift 2 hectares of his land. Mari also taught the young men the tricks to melt Sobhana's heart. The main purpose of the wedding was to make Sobhana stay in the village, only that way many villagers' lives could be saved. Sobhana was forced by her parents to go home immediately. Sobhana asked Mari to be her driver. Mari agreed to take Sobhana home to her house in the city. Sobhana's house was very big. It looked like she came from a wealthy family. Mari was surprised to see the collector at Sobhana's house. It turned out that Sobhana was the collector's daughter. Sobhana was deliberately assigned to Devanadu village because there was no other doctor who wanted to work there. Mari's surprise increased after learning the reason for Sobhana's return. Apparently Sobhana was going to have an engagement with an American doctor. Mari was silent as she watched. Mari's efforts to get Sobhana to marry the village youth were in vain. After the engagement ceremony was over, Mari and Sobhana would return to the village. Sobhana was still assigned to serve in the village by his father until the wedding day. On the way, Mari got a call from Rukmi. Rukmi said her son's condition was very worrying. Because of vomiting blood and convulsions, Sobhana asked Rukmini to calm down. Rukmini had to give the prescribed tablets. But Rukmini couldn't find the tablets. Rukmini did not realize that the tablet was being used as a toy by her daughter. The tablet was eaten by her daughter. Sobhana and Mari quickly went to Rukmini's house. When Sobhana checked the condition of Rukmini's son, he was dead. Rukmini and her husband cried knowing their son had become a corpse. If only Sobhana had remained in the village, her son could have been saved. Sobhana felt very guilty. Sobhana went out to calm down when Sobhana saw Malarkoti's daughter in a terrible condition. because she took her brother's medicine tablets. The child was immediately taken to the health center for treatment. Rukmini and Malarkoti were absolutely devastated. Their son had just died and now their daughter was struggling between life and death. Malarkoti was also asked to leave his daughter at the health center because he had to bury his son. The situation was truly heartbreaking. Malarkoti buried his son while worrying about the fate of his daughter. After hours, Rukmini's daughter was declared out of danger, even though his son was dead. Rukmini could still be grateful that her daughter could still be saved. Mari then took Sobhana home to rest. The facilities in the house have been filled by the people there. There are sofas, toilet seats and others, even though in a few days Sobhana will leave the village. Mari told the village head and the community that the doctor was engaged to an American man. Mari also revealed the identity of the doctor, who is the collector's daughter. "He will leave our village," said Mari. All the residents were saddened to hear that fact. They will no longer have a doctor, no one will prescribe medicine. The fears of the residents also happened. Sobhana's wedding invitation letter has been printed. Sobhana invited Mari to deliver her wedding invitation to several community leaders. After being tired of traveling around, Sobhana relaxed with her grandmother. Sobhana was impressed by the food that tasted like it came from a restaurant. It turned out that the villagers could cook all of Sobhana's favorites. Because they had received training, Mari gave me a job at a restaurant. I learned to make all these dishes there, she said. Sobhana was touched by Mari's hard work to make her feel at home in the village. Sobhana remembered that she had not yet given Mari a wedding invitation, even though Mari had accompanied her around the village since noon to deliver invitations. With her grandmother, Sobhana went to Mari's house to give the invitation. There in person, Mari was apologizing to all the people for not being able to keep the doctor. "I can't fulfill my father's last request, please forgive me," said Mari while crying. None of the community blamed Mari. Mari had done everything to keep Dr. Sobhana. Mari was asked not to be sad. Mari has worked hard. We'll give 2 hectares of his land to the young man who can make the doctor fall in love. Mari also made the community use perfume so that the doctor would not be disgusted. Sobhana was touched and wanted to cry hearing all that. Moreover, Mari still praised Sobhana even though he was going to leave the village. Sobhana was considered a god's heart. Sobhana was willing to live in the village even though she was the daughter of a collector who was used to living in luxury. The village head invited the community to let Dr. Sobhana go. They would give gifts to take to America, in the form of 50 bunches of bananas, 100 jackfruit, 300 coconuts, honey and others. Sobhana was even sadder to hear it. Sobhana was in a dilemma, but she had to go anyway. The next morning, Sobhana and her grandmother left to return to the city. The community was waiting on the road. Sobhana said goodbye with tears. Sobhana did not forget to give Mari a wedding invitation that was cancelled last night. Before actually leaving the village, Sobhana asked permission to enter the health center for the last time. Yogi also served her last tea. Sobhana cried. It was hard for Sobhana to leave the village that was filled with so much love. Although Sobhana tried not to cry, her tears kept flowing. After calming down a bit, Sobhana came out of the health center. Sobhana said millions of thanks to all the villagers. It was time for Sobhana to leave. Gifts for Sobhana from the villagers were brought by truck. Sobhana left accompanied by the tears and cries of the villagers. After Dr. Sobhana left, it rained all over Naadu village. The village chief asked all the people to go home, because if they were sick there was no doctor to treat them. Everyone had gone home, only Mari herself stayed all day. Did Dr. Sobhana finally return? No guys. This is a true story that is not like the movie. Mari padlocked the village health center. Mari must be able to make one of the villagers a doctor. Only then will the health center be opened again. At the end of the movie, we are shown various events that occurred in remote villages in India. Many lives were lost due to the lack of health facilities. To this day, conditions in India are still like that.